within the European Union, we know that there is a new trend coming up. It's about the reform of the European Union, with the election of the French President Emmanuel Macron earlier this year, and most probably a re-election of Angela Merkel in Germany in September for the position of chancellor. We will see a new impulse for reforming the continent, not only around European Union, but also, or predominantly, around Eurozone. Countries of Eurozone will matter much more in decision making in the European Union, and it's not only about the money, it's also about the other spheres of influence of the members that belong to this group. And here the important countries that belong already to Eurozone are Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Slovakia, but unfortunately not Poland or Hungary, which at the same time started to, you could say, rebel against the mainstream of the on the continent, in Europe, and they are having a lot of political fights with the other partners in the European Union.
Emmanuel Macron visited Eastern Europe late August, and he criticized Poland and Hungary, and he also mentioned that Poland is isolated. He got a reply from Beata Szydło, who responded that French president lacks experience and he'd better occupy with his own affairs. Do you think that this isolation of Poland and Hungary is something we could really talk about now?
That is not completely true. Emmanuel Macron definitely made an overstatement and he evoked, I think deliberately, a diplomatic crisis with Poland. He indeed criticized Poland in the most open way so far. We didn't see that before, on the issues that are important to the whole community, European Union. He basically backed the position of the European Commission from Brussels, and also Angela Merkel followed in his opinion that Poland is not cooperative and not willing to apply the standards of the European Union at the moment. It's partly about the whole Poland, the whole country, but it's mostly about the government. The government of Poland is being criticized by other partners in the European Union on various issues, and that comes vice versa. Poland and Hungary also criticize the other governments, which is within natural limits of a political debate in Europe, but it brings a lot of tension and uncertainty. There is a growing fear that eventually this will lead to a smaller part of involvement of Poland or Hungary in the main decision-making bodies within Europe.
You spoke about government. What is, according to you, public opinion, public reaction to these critics, which come frequently from Brussels, from Paris, or from Berlin? Can you say that the kind of anti-European attitudes in Poland now, among young people?
Surprisingly, no. More than 80% of Polish population are very happy about membership in the European Union, and people want to stay members of the European Union. So the government in Poland doesn't have an easy task if it wanted to move away from the core of Europe, because the population really supports the project. The government therefore says that they criticize other particular governments, and they at the same time claim that they are pro-European. So that's a bit of a double standard on the side of Polish government right now, and unfortunately it is not very effective. what we see is that Polish population, public opinion, but also people sometimes come to the streets, are very much in favor of all the standards that are set within the European Union. That means in the long run, we can be rather optimistic about the future of how we
will proceed. You mentioned the people coming to the streets and the opposition. What is, according to you, the potential of these opposition, of these people who are not happy with the government? What could change maybe in several months, in 1 year?
Well, first of all, that puts pressure on the politicians. Demonstrators criticize not only the government, but also the opposition parties. They don't like the official politics that much. And that creates opportunities for newcomers, for new power centers. Within Poland, this is, for instance, the President of Poland, that for the first time he openly attacked the government of the party he comes from. So he vetoed the two laws that were proposed by the government and by the parliament. That creates an interesting dynamics. We will only see in a couple months if he uses this opportunity and creates a new political direction. And I think that's similar in many other countries. In Hungary, for instance, there were also lots of civic protests, civic movement on the street, and there were some public activities, including a referendum against organizing Olympics. That referendum didn't even took place, but the organizers of this referendum, that Viktor Orban, Prime Minister of Hungary, saw as a danger, they were so successful that the Prime Minister cancelled the proposition to have the Olympic Games. And they organized a new party, and then now they are trying to run for the government. So I think a lot of internal dynamism is taking place within the system, within the major revolution, but political actors are emerging, and in a few years we might see new leadership in these countries.
You sound optimistic, but at the same time there are still some people, maybe a lot of people, supporting Orban and supporting Polish ruling party. There might be a demand for such a conservative turn in Poland as well as in Hungary. How can you explain that such parties came to power?
Well, these parties are by no means conservative. They are revolutionary. They even claim that they want revolution, change of the system. But it's not really so much power of attraction, but like every government, they also have the power to incite fear. And they make people fearful of the migrants, of the potential terrorist attacks that we know about. And because of the international instability, they get a popularity bonus, like any government which shows the strong hand would get. So the current popularity of those parties is not so much about the positive proposals. They do have some policies that are implemented, but it's mostly about uniting the population behind them that is a little bit fearful of the others, of some potential threats, and so the international environment helps the right wing to be a little stronger than the open society people.